What if Ned Stark had lived and waged war against the Lannisters? Let's delve into this alternate reality and explore its possibility. Ned Stark blinks several times, struggling to clear the light from his eyes. As his vision comes into focus, he realizes that thousands of eyes are upon him. It seems as though all of King's Landing has gathered to witness his confession. His throat is parched, his voice weakened by captivity, yet the deafening roar of the crowd reaches him clearly. "I am Eddard Stark, Lord of Winterfell and Hand of the King," Ned declares, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "I stand before you to confess my treason in the sight of gods and men. I betrayed the faith of my king and the trust of my friend, Robert. I swore to defend and protect his children, but before his blood was cold, I plotted to depose and murder his son, seizing the throne for myself." A wave of fury surges through the crowd, their voices rising in condemnation. Cries of traitor and other viler accusations fill the air. Behind him, the Sept of Baelor looms, the High Septon, the Queen, and the usurper standing safely behind their Lannister guards. The weight of his false confession hangs heavy in the atmosphere, thick with the taste of defeat. Yet, Ned bears it for Sansa's sake. Joffrey, perched high above, gazes down upon him with satisfaction, drawing a breath to speak. But before he can utter a word, a voice cuts through the clamor. As promised, Ned Stark is to be spared. He will take the black and spend the remainder of his days in the Night's Watch. "I'll take him," a gruff voice announces. "I am Yoren of the Night's Watch, a wandering crow in search of recruits. It seems I have one more." The crowd stirs as Yoren steps forward. Though stoop-shouldered and haggard, his worn black cloak catches the light, forcing the masses to part. With rough hands, he takes hold of Ned and guides him away from the square. "There's someone you ought to see first, Lord Stark," Yoren murmurs, as they move swiftly through the winding alleys of King's Landing. Their journey leads them to a small, weather-worn inn. Inside, the soft hum of conversation and the clinking of tankards fill the air as dozens of Yoren's recruits prepare for their journey. Ned's breath catches in his throat as his eyes land on Arya. She sits alone, her small form hunched in the corner. When she notices her father, she leaps up and rushes into his arms, but Yoren stops them with a firm gesture. "Not here, come," he says, leading them into a secluded back room. Once alone, Ned gathers Arya into his embrace, feeling a wave of relief wash over him. His daughter is dirty and disheveled, but she is alive. Tears sting his eyes as she hurriedly recounts her escape, the massacre that took place, the horrors she witnessed, and how she managed to slip away from the palace. "You've done well, Arya," Ned says, his voice thick with emotion. "I'm proud of you. But what of Sansa? What of the Lannisters?" Arya's face hardens. "She's still in the Red Keep." Yoren speaks up. "I can take you and the girl to Winterfell or Riverrun, but I can't help you rescue your other daughter." Ned nods, understanding the limits of the Night's Watch's neutrality. "We won't be walking. I had chartered a ship to take my daughters north. It's still waiting." Arya's face falls. "Us? You're not coming with us?" Ned's expression turns solemn. "No. I've shamed myself by accepting their mercy. Arya, I know this is hard for you to understand, but by confessing treason, I allowed a great wrong to pass. I must see it undone." Arya's voice trembles. "Are you going to war, father?" "I'm afraid so." "Then promise me one thing. Come back with Sansa and make the Lannisters pay." A faint smile touches Ned's lips as he pats Arya's head. Soon their small party departs for the Wind Witch. Upon recognizing their lord, the Stark guardsmen stationed there allow them through without hesitation. As promised, they leave King's Landing unharmed. However, when they near Dragonstone, a rowboat is lowered, carrying Ned and his guardsmen toward the island. They are swiftly captured by the royal fleet, and Ned demands an audience with Stannis Baratheon. Stannis, upon seeing Lord Eddard Stark, is surprised, more so at the manner of his arrival. But his expression hardens as he hears of Ned's confession. You put me in a difficult position, Stark, Stannis says, voice laced with skepticism. A fortnight ago, your offer would have been a boon. Now, you are a confessed traitor. What would it say if I were to align myself with the man who betrayed my brother? We would make you a fool to some, but a man of justice to others, Ned replies. You've forgiven men for crimes before. Would you now condemn one you know to be innocent? Stannis is silent for a moment, scrutinizing Ned carefully. I see prison hasn't dulled your senses. You are right. I am no Cersei, no Littlefinger. I understand justice. Perhaps there is something you can do for me. Though the Lannisters and their lackeys believe your treason, others know better. You are beloved in the North and Riverlands. The Stormlands remember your friendship with Robert. If you join my cause, it may rally more to my banner. Ned's expression darkens. The Lannisters have already gained the Stormlands? You've been imprisoned longer than you think, Stannis replies grimly. Much has changed. We have liberated Riverrun from the Lannisters and trapped Tywin in Harrenhal. Meanwhile, Renly has fled to Storm's End. Some say he intends to crown himself. If I am to claim my throne, I need the North, the Stormlords, and every ally I can get. Ned inclines his head. What would you have me do? Convince them to support me. Thus Ned is named Master of Laws in Stannis' small council. His first action is to send a letter to Robb, informing him of his and Arya's survival, the truth of Cersei and Jaime's incest, and his newfound alliance with Stannis. The North rejoices at the news of their lord's survival. Rather than declare Robb the king in the North, they instead pledge themselves to Stannis, believing him to be the rightful king. Ned embarks on a mission with Davos Seaworth, traveling through the Stormlands to gather allies. With Ned's presence and the promise of a northern army, houses such as Penrose, Tarth and Swan swear fealty to Stannis. However, the majority of the Stormlords remain loyal to Renly, who has forged an alliance with the Tyrells. When Ned returns to Dragonstone, he is met by a new presence in Stannis' council, the Red Priestess Melisandre. Their discussions are fraught with tension as she prophesies of fire and fate. The path forward is uncertain, the pieces on the board are shifting, and war looms ever closer. As Stannis marches toward King's Landing, more and more people are convinced of his cause, and his support continues to grow. His forces advance with determination, their banners bearing the flaming heart of House Baratheon flying high. Meanwhile, leagues away, Tywin Lannister's army is mired in relentless raids from the forces of Edmure Tully and Roose Bolton. Stannis' march through the Crown Lands further strengthens his position as many of the nearby houses rally to his side, delaying Tywin's movements even further. No reinforcements are coming to the capital. Inside King's Landing, the city trembles with the sounds of battle. The clang of steel and the shouts of soldiers fill the air, mixing with the panicked cries of citizens fleeing the carnage. The battle is far from one-sided, as Tyrion Lannister has devised several cunning defenses. His use of wildfire wreaks havoc on the Baratheon fleet, killing thousands and incinerating much of their naval forces. On the ground, his tactical sorties inflict heavy losses on the vanguard. Among those leading these desperate counterattacks are the Hound and several Kingsguard, their white cloaks shining as symbols of hope, rallying the defenders and inspiring them to fight to the bitter end. Despite these efforts, the battle turns against the Lannisters. As the Blackwater burns, the wreckage of smouldering ships forms a makeshift bridge, allowing Stannis' troops to attack from multiple directions. The combined strength of the Stormlands, Riverlands, and portions of the Reach and Crownlands overwhelmingly tilts the numbers in their favor. Morale among the Lannister forces shatters, with reports of Tyrion Lannister's death. Soon the city gates are breached and the Baratheon forces flood into the streets, transforming King's Landing into a blood-soaked battlefield. Lannister soldiers, gold cloaks, and desperate small folk fight desperately to defend their homes, but the Baratheon advance is unstoppable, carving a relentless path toward the Red Keep. Inside the Great Hall of the Red Keep, the last remnants of the defenders prepare for one final stand. The city is falling around them, and they know their chances are slim. When the palace is finally taken, the victors make a grim discovery. Queen Cersei and her children lie dead, victims of poison. Many of the court's women have also perished, executed on the orders of Sir Ilyn Payne. As the last resistance crumbles, the Baratheon banner unfurls over the Red Keep, marking the fall of King's Landing. With the capital lost, Tywin Lannister finds himself with no means of retreat, forcing his army to surrender. Stannis shows no mercy. Tywin and his key commanders are swiftly executed. Recognizing the shifting tides, the Tyrells submit to Stannis, lowering their banners and bending the knee. In return, Stannis allows them to retain their rule over the Reach. Meanwhile, in the north, Ned Stark lands at White Harbor and marches down Moat Cailin, gathering reinforcements as he goes. With no remaining threats south of the Neck, Robb Stark turns his focus on reclaiming his homeland. His forces crush the Greyjoy fleet, allowing the Northmen to sweep through and retake their lost lands. Winterfell soon falls back into Stark hands, and to the immense relief of the North, Bran, Rickon, and Arya are found alive, having hidden in the crypts of their ancestors. However, not all is well. Sansa Stark is among the many casualties of the battle for King's Landing, a tragic loss for the Stark family. With his enemies vanquished, Stannis is crowned King of Westeros. Renly Baratheon is put on trial, found guilty and executed for his rebellion. In an act of pragmatism, Stannis legitimizes Edric Storm and grants him Storm's End. Ned Stark, weary of war, returns to the north to reunite with his remaining family, while Robb and Catelyn also return home after their long and bloody campaign. This is our theory of how events could have unfolded. Westeros is a land filled with thrilling stories and endless possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to join us on this journey through the Seven Kingdoms and beyond, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.